Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Yana Conversations, a place you can call home where healing and restoration reigns through insightful conversations and testimonies that I shared. My name is Mraro Magoro, and I'm excited, guys, to be back on your screens. Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, and leaving us amazing feedback, which really encourages us to keep going. I would also like to welcome our new subscribers. Welcome to the family, guys. We love you, and we hope you enjoy yourselves with us. All right, guys, let's get down to the business of the day. We promised you a special month of love, and have we or have we not delivered? I really think that we have. So guys, please tell us what you think, what you've enjoyed in the episodes that we've shared so far. We'd really appreciate to hear from you. So guys, today I am bringing you an amazing couple that are going to be sharing with us their beautiful journey. They run a ministry called Power Couples Movement, which is thriving and is a great platform to build and strengthen marriages. All right, guys, please help me welcome Mr. and Mrs. or should I say Pastor?
No.
Okay, help me welcome Mr. and Mrs. Matsepe. Woo! Welcome, guys. Welcome to my channel.
Thanks for having me.
It feels like home.
It feels like home. You're too relaxed, my friend. You're welcome, guys. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this conversation. I'm really excited, to bring you guys to the audience and to just have a conversation with you guys. I think I've known you for quite some time. I don't know how many years, but it's been quite long.
Yes.
And I've seen you guys grow. I mean, you guys got married way before me. So I've seen your growth as well. Although it was not too personal, but from afar, I could see that, these people they're on levels, they're like the people we want to be when we eventually get into the marriage world. But guys, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Please relax. I see you're very relaxed already now.
Yeah.
Please relax and let's talk. So you guys want to introduce yourselves? Or should I introduce you? I think you should introduce yourselves.
Okay.
Wow. All right. So I'm Kamogelo, and this is my wife, Talama Matsepe. And we also in the same similar ministry. So we run a ministry called Power Couples Movement. And it's really just a movement where we encourage couples and just give a different narrative to marriage,
Yeah.
And I'll let my wife say her piece.
You already covered it. Okay. As he has mentioned, my name is Talama. I am his better half.
Yes, honey.
Yes, I'm playing that. So, as you've explained, we are in this ministry, Power Couples movement. And this movement, a lot of people, whenever they hear the word power couple, they always think that, hey, these people are on some other standard.
I actually wanted to ask you guys, why power couples? What is the thought behind it, or rather the vision behind power couples?
We truly believe that everyone can be a power couple if the intention is there to get to that place. Okay. We're not saying that we are perfect. We also have our flaws. But we believe that when you put your mind to something, I believe that you can get to that place. And obviously, the world has already set a definition of what a power couple looks like. You have to have wealth. You have to, like Beyonce and Jay-Z. But we are setting a different narrative from a Christian perspective that you can actually be a power couple. You don't have to have all these other things. Obviously, we want to attain wealth and other things, but you can actually get to that place.
Yeah, sure. I think she's really covered it. And we believe that there's an innate power within each and every marriage.
Exactly.
Every marriage is a ministry platform, and it's really just about unearthing that power that is within you. So that's really, as we said, it's changing the societal narrative or the misconception, as my wife has alluded to.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. So you guys have been married for 8 years now, am I right?
Yes.
Eight years now. And how has it been?
It's been...
I want to hear this. And you guys actually got married very young. I remember because I actually came to your wedding. I don't know if you guys remember.
Yes,
I was there when you guys got, and you were quite young, right?
Yes, I was 21.
Jeez.
And he was 24.
20, well, I just turned 25,
Yeah.
So we're quite young. And it's been a good journey. Bumpy here and there, but good kind of bumps.
Good kind of bumps. I like that.
Good. It's been good.
that's why you're still here today.
That's
Yeah.
why we're here.
Okay, so take us through how you guys met. I mean, you were obviously still very young, and I also just want to know. Maybe we'll get to it. Like, what were the challenges of getting married at that age as well? You know, and how have you guys grown stronger together? But let's start with how you guys met.
I want to hear this from you.
Is it that thing where
It's different.
the man has a different version from the wife? Okay, let's hear it.
All right. So we actually grew up in the same town in Groblersdal.
Okay.
So we funny enough, we went to the same primary school, but we were just obviously, we were kids back then, so we didn't really see each other in that light.
Okay.
And I think it was in 2007 where we really got reintroduced, and we established our relationships on a relationship at a friendship level.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though obviously I made my intentions known.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we met, and I mean I think it was in 2007 towards the end when I started making moves, and
He was quite
Yeah.
clear.
and I think
Of his intentions.
for about 2 years I was hitting brick walls after brick walls,
Okay.
but I persevered, and here we are. So yeah, I think that's how we met. Right?
Yeah,
So it
no,
was
you
at
got the
church.
story right.
It was at church. She was part of the worship team. I was also part of the worship team. So yeah, and things just evolved from there. You know, and I just knew that I had to put a ring on it.
So do you, Talama, do you have the same version of how you guys met?
This is definitely the right story.
Have you heard the wrong one before?
Yeah, well, we have debated. We've been. It's just been a great journey, honestly. To answer to the other question, when you said if there were any issues getting married young, you know, as a young girl, you would hear different views and hear different thoughts about, hey, you're getting married very young. Why are you doing this? Are you pregnant? Is this something maybe we don't know that you want to tell us? And so it was not in the beginning. It was not really accepted.
Okay.
In a good light. It was more.
Was this with family or just?
It was just everyone.
Everyone.
Even my mom
Yeah.
would say, "Hey, but you're in your first year. Like, are you really gonna? You're gonna meet other people. I mean, you come from a small town, and what if he's not the one? And you meet different people. So obviously, they care for you and they're worried about the decision that you're taking because marriage is the big thing. It's a big decision. We stuck to our guns. We're here because we love each other. We chose love.
You chose love. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to know that, you know, as young as you were, you know, when you guys decided, oh my God, this is the step we want to take. What is for you, Talam, what was the main thing, or rather one or two things that really, you know, put the stamp to it to say, this is the kind of man I want to get married to? Was it his character? What was it about him that...
Besides his...
Six-pack, muscles.
You were 24, did you have a six-pack?
No, besides his charm and wittiness and his alluring personality, it was more of the purpose behind it. You know, he was so passionate about the things of the Lord. Even though we're friends, but I would still wonder, hey, this person. He was so passionate about the things of God. Whenever he's called to minister, he's there. And for me, you can only win me just by that.
Yeah.
If you're passionate and you're serving the Lord with all your heart, you're not doing it for anyone, but you're doing it because it's something that God has called you for. Yeah. That for me was a winner. Yeah. Besides the other things, his charm and all his other things. But I loved that. I loved that.
Okay. And for you?
Well, for me, I've been told that I've got a dry sense of humor, so she's one of the few people that actually got me. But I think to be totally honest, I've seen a lot of, and I've heard a lot of stories, and I've witnessed it personally, where where ladies don't really get along with their in-laws, you know. And I wanted someone that would really just transition so well and just become part of the family, and you know, She's actually the first girl, well, not the first, the only girl that I've ever introduced to my parents. And I sort of from a distance, and that was at a friendship level.
Yeah.
I just observed how she related to my siblings,
Yeah.
related to my sisters and my
Yeah.
parents. And I saw from that moment like the genuineness, you know,
Yeah.
she was herself, man.
Yeah.
What I saw is what I got, and
Yeah.
that really just put the stamp on it, and also her heart for God. That definitely, I mean, she's sold out for serving, and I really love that about her.
No, I think you've touched on the issue of in-laws and stuff, and I think you're not the only guy that I've heard saying that. For me, if my wife or my girlfriend can get along with my family, that is everything for me. Why is that so important, you know, for men?
The thing is, you don't want division, you know. I hold family very dear to my heart, and I didn't want to find myself now in a situation where I'm sort of now being a mediator, managing two relationships that are at totally different ends. So that for me was, I mean, my mom does not even see her as a daughter-in-law. My sisters don't even see her as a sister-in-law. Like literally, if you were an outsider, you'd literally just think she's part of the siblings. You know? And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to be torn in between two relationships.
Yeah, and it worked out well.
It did. It did.
Oh, thank God.
Because we wouldn't be sitting here today. Hey?
Yeah.
Okay, so no, that's beautiful, guys. So I wanted to also just know that you guys have been married for 8 years now. What has been the biggest lessons for you guys?
I think, well, I'll start, and maybe if she's got something different to share.
Yeah.
But for me, the biggest lesson has been that we should never leave things unresolved. You know, we've got a rule in our marriage that we don't go to bed with unresolved issues. You know, because we've seen a lot of couples that are sitting with mountains of issues that just it literally started with one thing, and had you addressed it at that level, you know, and it's even biblical. The Bible says that you should not let the sun set on your anger. You know?
But I hear people say that a lot, like we don't go to bed without resolving. How practical is it? Because I've struggled, you know, where, you know, a fight comes up in the evening and I'm not supposed to go to bed, you know, with the anger and whatever. But I mean, for me personally, I've struggled with that, where I will go to sleep angry at my husband. And, you know, for me, what works is when I have my morning devotions, that's when, like, everything, you know, if I'm angry about something, I let it go in my time of prayer. But I've had nights where I am like, dude, not tonight. So how do you guys do it? Because I struggle personally, honestly. How do you guys do it?
So, okay, let me go and then she'll jump in. So it's very practical. I think we just had to be very intentional about it. In the formative years of our marriage, to your point, we did have the
issues,
odd nights or two where we went to bed with unresolved issues, but it hinders your peace, you know.
It does.
So we've just had to be very intentional about it, and at times, and I'll speak for myself as well. At times, it's not always about who is right and who is wrong, but it's rather about what is right and what is wrong. So I don't always want to prove a point or to be right, even at times where I can see that she's wrong. I'll apologize just for the sake of peace.
I actually heard that on your podcast. You know, you were saying that, you know, I feel like I'm the one who's always apologizing, even when I'm
hard to accept.
And I mean, at times she'll come back 2 or 3 days later and say, you know what, you were right. And now I realize. And I cannot, I value my peace way too much to allow.
So this is your peace, right?
Exactly.
Not because I feel like when I mean you are a married couple, right? You are together, you are one, but you're also still individuals, right? Am I correct? Pastor K?
Yeah.
I'm correct, right? You're still individuals, right? And I feel like if you take care of yourself, you become a better partner. So if you say, I need peace in my life, then it means that you're going to strive to have peace in your marriage as well. So I'm just alluding to what you're saying, that you want peace, which then makes it even more important to have peace with your wife, because this is the person you live with 24/7.
Exactly.
So I wanted to also ask you were talking about, you know, you're intentional about resolving issues. And I want to know that, do you guys maybe have rules of engagement where, you know, for instance, if we are maybe having an argument or having a serious conversation rather, this is how we engage. I'll give you an example. I used to struggle with walking away when things get heated because I just feel like if I stay here, I'm going to say things I'm going to regret, or I'm going to throw things, whatever, you know, then I would just walk away. But for me, in my marriage, it came across as disrespectful, like you are walking away from me talking. You understand? So things like we've had to discuss things like that, where we say we have rules of engagement. You don't do 1, 2, 3 when we are engaging. Do you guys have any?
Well, I've been known as the confronting one.
Okay. Same here, don't worry.
Yeah, like I confront when there's an issue, and I'm the kind of person like can we just address and finish it? Let's not continue talking about it. Once it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
So, but one thing that I realized about, and it comes with learning as you go on in marriage. My husband is, how can I say this? He like every word that is said matters. Now, for a person who's like very confrontational, you just say things, you just blab. It's like word vomit. You just say however you feel, and you wanna make the other one feel pain. And so with him, even after the whole discussion, after the whole fight, he will come back and say, but you said this and this, did you actually mean it?
Sure.
So I've learned throughout our 8 years of marriage to pick my words very wisely. And secondly, I've come to understand him, that if we have, maybe we have an argument, most of the time he's the one who says, I just want space. Like he will just say, you know what, can I just have space, and you move. Whereas I want to talk, but I've gotten to respect that. And to your point, I don't see it as being disrespectful, because he has told me that, you know what, I don't want to end up saying things. I don't want to end up saying things that will end up making the situation even worse. So I'll give him that space. But in the very beginning of our marriage, it was a tough one, because I'm very confrontational. I'll tell him, right, but you have to do this and do this, and why are you doing this, and now you're leaving, like what, you know. But I ended up realizing that's something that I also need to do and compromise. That's another thing that it's quite a very important thing in marriage. You need to compromise. Not everything that you do must always be acceptable for the other partner. So I don't know if you have to add anything to that.
No, I think she's covered it. Covered it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. No, that's good. So you guys, you've been together for so long. How many did you guys date for a while before you got married?
Yeah, we dated.
We dated since 2009 and got married
2012.
Oh, okay. So what is the one thing you love the most about your husband?
Oh, he's such a gentleman.
Okay.
Like he's such a gentleman, and he's selfless. Something that I still find it strange even till today, because I've never grew up around selfless people. But just seeing that from him, it also changed my life as well. Yeah.
So you love him being a gentleman and
he's such a sweetheart.
the selfless spirit that he has. And for you, Mr. Matsepe?
This is a family show, right?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Share, what's going on?
The other thing that I love most about I'll talk
Yes.
about the other one. Her heart,
Okay.
really, and but I have to say, I mean, I'm a guy. It's not that I didn't see her heart when I was so there are other things, but
that hand expression.
I didn't see it. Okay. So obviously the physical
My temple.
features.
My temple. You
Temple
need to
is
say.
what
Wow.
you need.
no, God took his time. God really took his time.
That's nice. That's nice. Okay. Besides the physical features?
Her heart. I mean, like I said, she's also selfless, very much so, and she's got a heart for people, and I love that about her.
Thank you.
No, I know that as well. I've witnessed that in the few years that I've engaged with her, that her heart really is for people. So you guys, see Pastor and Mrs. We're heading somewhere here. We're heading somewhere. Okay, guys. Okay, I want us to talk about finances. in the marriage, which I've heard a lot of people say that communication, finance, sex, those are like the big threes in marriage. And I wanted to know that, like, how do you guys manage? Well, we obviously don't want the details of, like, the mini details of what you do, but how do you guys manage not to have fights or disagreements when it comes to finances?
Okay. So this is actually one of the topics that we covered in our podcast, and where we were really speaking about transparency. And there's a lot of facets to this, and one of them being financial transparency. And I think the biggest thing is you need to be completely open with each other. And I'll speak from a male's perspective. That's an area where we sometimes, if you are, for example, at a position where you are unable to provide, it sort of brings a certain level of shame, if I can call it that. So my view is you need to be able to be naked and unashamed financially with your spouse. And just budgeting as a couple, it's very important. And from our within our relationship, like literally there are no gray areas. She knows every single area pertaining to my earnings and everything, and I know everything pertaining to hers as well. And we budget together as a family. And the biggest thing is you also need to have clear financial goals that you are working towards. Because therein lies also your contracting with your spouse in terms of sacrifices that you need to make along the way. So I think the biggest thing is there's a lack of transparency, and where there is no transparency, people tend to sort of come up with their own theories with regards to what you might be hiding, etc., etc. So I think the biggest thing is just transparency within finances. If we're transparent, it already does away with half of the problems.
And just to add, when you are transparent financially, you get to even plan ahead. For instance, we intend on building one day. So there's certain sacrifices that we decided this year we're gonna do this year. Let's not try to spend too much money so that we can build towards this. So it also helps so that we are all directed at the same goal instead of just pulling at different ends, and then you end up not even achieving that very thing.
So while we're still on the financial aspect, so you guys are still a young couple, right? And with young couples, there's also a lot of influence that comes in, where maybe you are friends with a particular couple and they're doing well and all of that. Have you guys ever had to struggle with pressure, or what do you guys think of that? Like, where now you find the wife pressurizing the husband to do more because she also wants a certain kind of lifestyle that maybe her friends or her siblings are projecting, right? So have you guys in your relationship ever had to deal with such?
I don't ever.
Not really. I think the biggest thing is we from the onset of our marriage, literally we were benchmarking ourselves against the standard that God has set for us. And we do not use anyone else as a point of reference. Yes, you can take it as a testimony, what God is doing in the lives of your peers, etc. But that does not in any way exert pressure upon us. And I think there's a scripture in Ecclesiastes which says that the race is not for the swift. And as it continues, it says, time and chance happens to them all. And literally, I believe there's a season for everyone. So the fact that you are prospering within your season does not in any way change the season that God has appointed for us. But what we need to do is within that period where we might be at a sowing stage, we need to be as diligent as possible within that stage, because what we do now will determine everything that will happen at a later point when we get to that appointed season. So it's never really been an issue for us.
So I think it's quite important to know what you mentioned now about seasons, to know the season that you are in together as husband and wife, and not try and compare it with the next couple.
Exactly.
That's
and also how will God bless you if you are always comparing yourself? I believe that God gives you different gifts, and it's up to you what you do with those gifts. So now, if you're looking on the other side, how will you get the time to even look at what you have, work with what you have? So I
No,
feel
I'm
support
happy
what
to
he's
hear
saying.
you say that, because I
Yeah.
know the world we live in, there's a lot of
Mhm.
Yeah,
competition
no,
that
definitely.
happens. You know,
Definitely.
because a friend of mine is driving this car, I need to
Mhm.
drive there, or they're living in a certain house, I
Yeah.
need to do that. You know, I think one thing that I've learned as well from my older sister, whom we've interviewed already, is they stay on their lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? They stay on their lane to a
Mhm.
point where I, as a star, like, but guys, you guys can do more. They're like, no, we can do more, but it's not the time yet.
Yeah.
And I remember them saying that we always live twice under, how do they say it? Like, they live their lives 2 times below what they actually earn or what they can afford, just because they know that, you know, the future is still there. We need
Yeah.
to save up, we need to do this.
Yeah.
But I love that you guys have never also, you know, fall into that trap of comparing yourself, you know, to friends and whatever. Still on that note, I want to just touch a bit on the issue of friendships. You know, and when I say that, I mean, I believe that as a couple, we need to have people that we can rub off on, or rather learn from. You know, people that we are able to have open and honest conversations about marriage, or rather what is even happening in my marriage. Is it something that is important to you guys, or do you have maybe mentors that help you? Like, how do you guys, because I feel like you can't build this thing as an island. You do need people that you can learn from, you know, bounce of ideas and what is actually maybe happening in your own marriage. Do you guys have that?
Definitely, we do. I think to the point that you mentioned, I mean, you cannot live in isolation, you know, and we cannot be ignorant of the fact that at times there are certain things that people go through that we can actually take as learnings to avoid making the same mistakes ourselves.
Yeah.
But in the same notion, the opposite also holds true, in that we cannot, the Bible, I think it's Paul that says, do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good habits. You know, so it's one of two things in friendships. It's either they are feeding into your marriage, or they are draining out of your marriage. So you need to be very careful as to who you allow within your circle. And that's something that we are really, 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 if I can say, selfish about. We don't just allow anyone in our circle. But equally so, it's not only the people that we aspire to or that we look up to, but it's also people that God brings within our space that we can actually lift as we rise, you know. And that's another aspect that's important. But definitely friendships are important, and it's important who you have within your circle. And I mean, I won't be ignorant of the fact that there are certain friendships that we've had to do away with along the way.
How do you do away with friendships?
I believe
You ease
How?
You ease out of it.
How?
you need to understand, right? You need to understand. And I mean, I'm sure you can relate to it, especially people that you have sometimes grew up with.
Yeah.
And you need to understand that growing up with people does not necessarily mean growing with people.
Yeah.
I might have grown up with you, but it doesn't mean that I grow with you.
Yeah,
You know, and that's something that we need to be very, very mindful of. So there are certain friendships that you outgrow, and you have to make peace with the fact that, you know what, God had brought you in my space for a season. That season is now done. I'm moving to a different dimension, and where God has taken me, unfortunately, there's no space for this kind of friendship.
But how you know.
Conversations you're having with yourself, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, you're not gonna say.
But also, I also think that when you know, between the both of you.
Yeah.
So if it's me and you in a friendship, and all of a sudden I'm becoming distant, and you're also becoming distant, let's allow the distance. Let's not force things.
But what if the other one is feeling offended?
Why are you not calling me, not checking on me? God will give you the wisdom. God will give you the wisdom to take care of that relationship. But we mustn't just force things.
Yeah.
You know, as my husband has said, that if there's everything, there's a season to it. You can't just keep on dragging people along, and you feel that responsibility just drag on and drag on. You end up not even achieving what God has planned out for you, because you always drag, and they're distracting you or your focus.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You touched on you know, allowing people into your marriage space, or rather speaking into your marriage. And I know that you guys have had to wait. I'm not sure how many years for you to conceive. How many years was it?
It was almost 2 years.
2 years. You know, you had to have that waiting period. Did you guys ever had, you know, pressure or people asking, Kanti, when is this thing happening?
Well, obviously people ask,
Yeah.
which is something that is very annoying.
Yeah.
But we had our own plans. I was still in varsity, and we had spoken about me completing my studies, and then after that, that's when we started with conceiving child.
Yeah.
Now with intention.
Yeah.
Which took 2 years for us to even get to that place. But from family, we've never ever experienced any pressure. I have such a wonderful family, honestly. Like, there was no pressure. They understood, and they also respected. I feel like they respected. What is the name?
No, I know, you're looking into my eyes.
Like, you're smiling.
Yeah.
It was a moment.
She said an internal moment.
Yeah, I've never honestly experienced any pressure from his family or even my family. I think they also respected us. And also, I think that because we don't blab and tell everyone what's happening in our marriage, I think that's another thing that saved us. You always need to protect your marriage. And because we never spoke about children, we never spoke about our internal stuff with family, they also never had the need to even ask, what's happening? When is the child coming? It's when after I finished my studies, that's when the grandmother said, okay, now you're done, Makoti. The whole time she was quiet. Okay, Makoti, I think you're done. We need a child now. But it was not coming from like a pressure point.
Okay.
But I think just too, that's actually the internal moment that I had.
Oh, okay.
I was in a way that it's reflecting on the outside. No. So I know for a lot of couples, I mean, this is a very touchy subject, and to the point that my wife alluded to, that I mean, it took about 2 years, and that should have been would be for a lot of couples a time of testing and everything like that. I mean, we went from specialist to specialist, but I must say I was enjoying the prescriptions.
Oh, of course he was.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, the practice was.
They would tell you have to have it 3 times a day, and if someone enjoyed it, I'm looking and pressing on towards the mark. Oh,
I mean,
Jesus.
she would even call me and say, hey, it's time,
It's
come back
time,
from
it's
work,
time.
it's time for lunch.
Okay. Of course.
So you were enjoying the journey.
Yeah. It was a good 2 years.
I guess, everything is about perspective, right?
Yeah.
And we've had this discussion with my husband that it's really about how we look at this period.
Yeah.
Because if we look at it from a place of self-pity, like, God, why not us? When is it gonna happen for us? Then we're gonna be so sorrowful.
And
stressed. But if we choose to look at it as, oh my God, God has given us time for you and I, babe. Like, we can enjoy ourselves, just the two of us, build something stable, so that when kids come into play, they're finding a good foundation, that we have laid as husband and wife. So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. So we've spoken about finances, and I guess when we are dealing with the issue of finances, we cannot take away the issue of communication, right? Because for us to be financially stable as husband and wife or as a family, we need to be able to communicate. So did you guys have, because I know that there are people that don't communicate well, that don't really, share. And so how has communication been for you guys? Because people are different.
Yeah.
And, some people struggle with communicating.
For me, because I'm quite out there, I speak my thoughts.
Yeah.
And he also does the same thing. So it has never been like a huge factor for us. It flows. It flows naturally. Whenever something, if I'm worried about something, I know that I can speak to him. And also he has given me that space to speak my mind without holding back or being reserved or being scared of speaking and saying, I didn't like how you made me feel the other day, or you mentioned something and it now affects me. I feel like, it hurts. And I'm so grateful that he has given me that platform or that space, because I know there's friends of ours where whenever you speak your mind, it comes off as being harsh and you can't even really express yourself because you are afraid that it will not be received well. So the fact that my husband and I, we've opened ourselves to receiving each other's opinions, that for me, it's honestly, that's what has kept us going.
And also how the situation makes you feel. Because sometimes we might have a situation where nine sort of offside,
Mhm.
but then you don't like
Mhm.
to you. How why would sort of offside? You know.
Mhm.
So I think it's also something that couples learn as they go to say if she's saying
Mhm.
this was offensive to her or it did not sit well with her.
Mhm.
You know, how do I now bring myself to say,
Mhm.
you know what, I respect that this did not go well with you.
Mhm.
Then you know, because it's quite difficult for someone to say to sympathize with how you feel, especially if they don't see it that way.
Exactly.
True.
Exactly.
And I think as well, another key aspect, and I think this is what also hinders communication in a lot of marriages. I mean, I'm no psychologist,
Yeah.
but one thing that I've come to learn is there are a lot of things that influence how your partner communicates, you know, and how they show up in the marriage. And you need to have an understanding of those deep-rooted, if I can almost say, principles. And if you were to make an example of the iceberg model, where, you know, what you see on the surface is really the tip of what is a lot of the underlying value systems
Yeah.
that actually underpin what informs how she communicates in the marriage and everything that she is, because all of the experiences that she's gone through in her upbringing, her families, all these influences, ultimately I'm marrying into that, you know, and I need to understand that and almost craft the way I communicate to appeal to the way she's been brought up, if I can call it that, because you're not here to change her, you know, and that's something that I had to really learn, and she had to learn as well. And I think once you get that right and understand everything and what values does your partner hold in high esteem, you know, then you can really appeal to the person, even in how you communicate to them. You know, for example, she mentioned earlier on that I hold words in high regard. You know, I can spend an entire day analyzing two words that you said, you know, whereas she's already moved on from there, she's even forgotten what she said. But for me, it's something that, I mean, it can really just cause a lot of issues. So I think that's one thing that it's quite critical.
I think that brings me to ask you guys. You know, in marriage we talk about the languages of love, right? And you know what my love language is, and I want to find out. I mean, we're talking about communication, and you were talking about, you know, how you need to position yourself to communicate to her in a way that she will understand and receive it well, right? So I think that also goes back to the languages of love, and I want to find out from you, Talama, what is your language of love, and how, because sometimes we have these languages of love which we, especially in the beginning of marriage, we don't communicate, you know, what your language of love is, and then we have expectations of your partner being able to deliver on something that he's not even aware of, you know. So
for me,
you?
it's spending time together.
Okay.
And second one would be physical touch. And I'm not talking about sex here.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it affirms me. It makes me feel that you love me. I know for him it's words, but for me it's the hugging. It's just the cuddles and just the kisses here and there to say, you know what, I love you. Even when you don't say it by words, I know and I feel it. I feel that you love me. So that's the two, or my main two.
And for you, Mr. Matsepe?
Well, contrary to what a lot of people would expect, but for me, I think it's really acts of service and words of affirmation as a second.
And I want us to just go a little bit deeper on acts of service, right? I've had a conversation with, you know, some ladies, and you know, the husband has this expectation of how the wife must be, which could be, you know, maybe cleaning the house, doing this and this. You know, some husbands love watching, you know, their wives up and down, and at that time the wife is like, hey, I'm tired, or you should come and help me out, you know. And you know, we culturally so it's expected for the wife to be the homemaker, right? To make sure that the house is a home and it's clean and there's cooking, there's this and that happening, you know. But we're also living in times now where, you know, men do come into helping out with household duties as well, which for me it's a huge relief on the wife, because honestly I'm also going out there bringing the bacon home as well, right? And I think it's appropriate for us to be able to help one another out in the house and not not have it designated as a female thing to be done. What do you guys think about that?
I honestly, I feel like in a marriage or marriage roles, there shouldn't be a superior person than the other. There shouldn't be like a person who's higher than the other. This is a partnership. And whatever we do it for both of our benefits. So when it comes to house chores and all of that, well, for me, because my husband has always had that character, when I cook, I would find him doing the dishes. And because also he knows that I like spending time with him, you'd find us, in the kitchen talking while he's busy doing the dishes and while I'm busy cooking.
Yeah.
So that was easy for me.
Yeah.
But I don't think that there should be one partner who is regarded as the highest than the other, because this is a partnership. We make things work, not because of one person.
Yeah.
It's teamwork.
Yeah, and I think from my side, really, she's touched on it, but from a male's perspective, I give what I expect.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I say acts of service, I sow it into her, and I expect us to have that relationship of reciprocation, in English. Give back what I've given to you, so that's really my point of departure in terms of that. So you're completely right. We should not have expectations that we ourselves are not meeting.
I love that. I love that. Because I love that you are giving what you would expect as well from her, and not just expecting, but never sowing a seed or giving towards that.
That's something that I've learned in our marriage. Like, I've never seen a man, like, coming from where I come from, a man is regarded as, the highest. But just seeing him being that gentle person who is serving, that it also changed me, because there's certain behaviors that I some habits that I had to get rid of. And I thank God, because he has taught me to appreciate more. He has taught me to even say thank you. Even he would do something, and for me, how should I say thanks? Supposed to do it anyway. But the way he would say thank you, those are the things, the qualities, the things that I had to learn myself, and say, oh wow, okay, seriousness. Thanks. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, let's move to the last part of the 3 major things in marriage, which is sex. And I know it's Talama's favorite thing to talk about. So I just wanted to hear from you guys, like, how important is it? So there was let me just give you this. There was a time I was praying, and in my spirit, I even shared with a friend of mine. I'm like, God emphasized in my spirit that if you could have sex and prayer together with your husband, how you've made it. Like, I just felt like those 2 things, they would take you far, man, in your marriage. If we're able, for me and my husband, to be together and we pray together, not separately. You can have your prayers separately, but if we can make time for prayer together, and then accompany it with
Jesus.
Like we're about to make it. How has sex and praying together been so important in your marriage? Let's start with the sex.
Oh, okay. Sex, I think God did well, man. No, well done to you.
I agree.
So, that's one of the few times that you actually see heaven on earth.
Okay.
So I think,
Jesus.
I think it's very important. It strengthens the marriage. I mean, I think it's really the biggest way that you can consummate your relationship. And I mean, it's what do you say?
But how important is it? Like,
it's very important.
Maybe let me structure it this way. Like what would be the disadvantages of not having it as frequent as you should in your marriage?
There's a disconnection.
Okay.
I think that when you don't have sex on a regular, you're just off. It's just, I don't know if it's a hormonal thing, but you just
You're
are
off,
off. Your moods are off. You don't even feel that connection, that strong connection that you've built. So for me, it's the connection part. It's very important to have sex. I mean, you're not just saying, "Hey, you must have sex." It's very important. That thing, I think the devil sometimes he knows how to use it to destroy marriages. Not even sometimes, most of the time.
Yeah.
And if you stop communicating, if you stop having sex, what's there?
Sure.
The marriage is done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's another form of expression of love. If I can pray for you, if I could sit there and pray for you, me sitting, what you were saying, that when you pray together, that on its own it carries so much power. And putting a stamp on it is having that moment, the heaven moment.
It's a heavenly moment. And prayer for you, Mr. Matsepe, like how important is praying together?
The Bible says, how can two walk together unless they agree? So I believe, I mean, there are three parties in a marriage. It's the husband and the wife, and ultimately God as well. And I think prayer is really about us positioning our union and continuing to ensure that we not only cater for the physical aspect, but for the spiritual aspect. And the Bible says, I mean, when two or more gather, I am there in their midst. So whenever you come together in prayer as husband and wife, you are literally involving God in your relationship. And I mean, if you read the story of Hannah and Elkanah, I mean, it's only when they came together in prayer that the Bible says that God began making the necessary arrangements in response to what they had asked for. So I believe when husband and wife come together in prayer, there's a certain power that you cannot get elsewhere. And the opposite also holds true. That when you fail to pray together as husband and wife, and more often than not, it's when there is division within the marriage. And that's why the Bible also says that husbands live peaceably with your wife, that your prayers may not be hindered. You know, so sometimes we hinder our own prayers by that source of division. And the fact that you cannot come together and pray together as husband and wife, it just indicates that there's more underlying issues that you are not addressing within the marriage.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's very powerful. Okay, so this brings us to conclusion of our conversation. But before we close, I listened to your podcast and you guys spoke about you were actually talking about 8 things that you've learned in your 8 years of marriage, and there were 2 things that you spoke about 8, but there were 2 things that I took and I thought I want to bring this to the conversation today. And you spoke about the power of agreement. And I remember when we did our premarital counseling, one of the things that I really took from that counseling was learning to agree with my husband. That is, when you have the power of agreement in your marriage, that is the only way you guys will be able to thrive and go forward, and break those walls in marriage. And I just want to hear from you guys, like, the power of agreement. How important is it in marriage?
It's probably the most important
The
thing.
rock.
Because I believe honestly that agreement is a product of vision.
Sure.
And
Agreement
the
is a
reason,
product of vision.
and the reason why I say that is because where you don't have a common vision, it means there's a dual vision, i.e. division.
Sure.
Where you don't have a common vision. And the Bible, when it speaks about vision, it says that where there is no vision, the people perish. So if you want to now take it in the sense of agreement, it also causes separation where there is no agreement. And the other thing that is important to note, and it's even scriptural, that wherever there is agreement, there God commands a blessing. There is a commanded blessing just by virtue of you guys being in agreement. And ultimately, if there is no agreement within the marriage, it cascades down. The children will be divided. Families will be divided, and simply just by 2 people not agreeing. And the Bible also says that whatever you touch and agree on something, where 2 or more are gathered, whatever they touch and agree on, it will come to pass, you know.
Amen.
And that's something that we need to understand.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't want to take my wife's thunder.
No, but you covered it perfectly.
And I guess we can't talk about power of agreement and not talk about compromise.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously, we're not gonna agree or see things the same way all the time. So there has to be compromise, you know, that comes in. I would have to compromise what I think or how I would love something to be done in order for us to be
To
able to
achieve a
come
certain
to
goal.
a common ground.
There's a saying that bending is always much better than breaking.
Sure.
And when you speak about compromise,
Yeah.
when you compromise, you actually are moving towards a direction. Because it's two people coming together and holding on to a certain vision.
Yeah.
But remember what the devil said, but again, what the Bible says about the devil, that he comes to steal, kill, and destroy.
Yeah.
He wants to steal your vision.
Yeah.
He wants to steal your destiny.
Yeah.
So he will bring in other distractions to sort of derail you from getting to where you're going. So it's very, very vital to agree.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Okay, I love that. And then you guys also spoke about checking in on each other. The reason I took that is because I feel like, you know, sometimes in marriages we live past each other, and we always assume that because you're here then you're okay. You know, we just assume that because you're here everything is good, and we forget to just ask your partner, how are you doing? And how are you feeling about certain stuff, you know, just to have that intimate and intentional conversation to really find out how the other person is. And also to just find out, you spoke about how he would ask you, are you still happy with what you're studying? Or something along those lines, you know, just to check. So you said you wanted to do 1, 2, 3 this year. How far are you? Do you still want to pursue that? You know, how important is checking in with each other? How important is it in marriage?
It's very important. One of the things that I love about my husband is that he wants to see me succeed. You don't want to be in a marriage where the other one is thriving and the other one is just there.
Yeah.
I love the fact that he always checks on me and says, are you still happy here? And how can I help you get to the place where you want to go?
It's beautiful.
So that's something that I really respect. Also checking on each other, it goes to show that you love the person. Sometimes marriage becomes very monotonous. You get used to routines and doing the same things, and just we'll see where this year takes us, 2021 takes us. But when you check on each other, you also help the other one realize, oh, actually there's more to this person. When you check on each other, you help that other one grow their potential. I don't know if you've seen on my Instagram, I was talking about becoming the best version of yourself.
Yes.
You need to find a partner that will help you get to that place. Then what's the purpose of you having that person with you? We need to get to a certain part. I also need to help him get to his place of potential.
Yeah, I think she's definitely summed it up, and that's the importance. And I think another aspect is, I mean, we've seen all the stats around divorce rates, etc., etc. But one thing that I've realized and that I've seen that's a common trend is that the divorce court is just the final step, but you find that actually one or both couples checked out of the marriage years before they actually end up in divorce. So I think when you are honest during those regular check-in processes, it's actually a time for you to correct things before they even get spiral out of control. But it takes honesty as well. I mean, if I'm asking you if you're still happy in this marriage and there's something that you're not happy about, tell me so that I can correct it.
Exactly.
You know?
While there's still time.
Don't wait for 5 years and tell me that 6 years ago you did 1, 2, 3 that I was not happy about.
Exactly.
So those check-in sessions help, you know,
Do
to
them
offload as well, you know, about things that we might have been keeping within, you know. Sure, that's beautiful. So guys, I believe that, you know, when God put a man and a woman together, there's a vision and there's a purpose behind that, right? And I always say this, that, you know, when the word of God says that I knew you before I formed you in your mother's womb and I had plans for you, I don't believe that those plans include the life partner or the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. I believe it's a whole package. It comes in there as well, and there's a vision and there's a purpose that God puts two people together. And I want to know, what is the vision for Mr. and Mrs. Matsepe?
Do you want to answer that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, you can go.
I think it's our mandate. The Bible says that you are anointed to preach the gospel. That is the mandate for everyone, including when you have, when you are married, when you are in a marriage institution. You need to realize that on itself, you are a steward. You need to show those that don't believe in marriage. We have a lot of people in the world who say, I'll never get married. That on itself, it's a ministry. And the way we live, we're not being pretentious. This is who we are. If 2 or 3 people or 4 couples see what we have, not that, I don't want to use inspire, but you sort of get influenced by what we have. That is us preaching the gospel to you. So that is our mandate. I don't know if my husband wants to add.
Yeah, definitely it is. And I think every marriage is a ministry platform.
Exactly.
And the reality that we need to know is that the devil does not like marriage. And that it is also for that reason that Christ always used the illustration of marriage as a metaphor to illustrate our relationship with Christ. And I think we really need to be intentional in terms of using our marriages as a ministry platform. And I think that's the biggest thing that God has called us for, definitely from our end. And that's what we'll continue to chase or pursue relentlessly.
All right, thank you so much, guys. That was amazing. Did you guys enjoy yourselves?
We enjoy it.
Yes.
Okay. What do you guys do for fun? Like, what do you guys do to keep this fire burning? Because I see it's been burning for 8 years here.
Hey, besides the sex, baby.
Besides the sex, what do you guys do for fun?
I mean, we love watching movies together.
Okay.
This is strange, but I'm going to show you anyway. We watch Servants together, guys.
Why is it strange? It's not strange.
I mean, a lot of people were like, I watch Servants. I mean, we have people that we look up to, like Sarah Jakes and TD Jakes and Todd Mites, and I could name them. And you would find, like, you'd find us just debating about the things that they were saying, like, hey, that situation there. So that's basically what we do for fun. We love going out, we love trying new things.
She's
What is it funny?
The Servants.
Okay, no, that's good to know. And you guys are in a happy place.
No,
Yes,
definitely,
we are.
definitely.
Yes.
We've been at a honeymoon stage forever now.
Hey,
And it'll
for 8
remain
years
that
you've been
way.
in honeymoon stage.
Guys, to be honest, I feel that it's a choice to fall in love.
Okay.
The minute when you wake up in the morning, you get to plan your day, right? You plan, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to the gym, I'm doing this. The same thing applies with your marriage. You choose today, I'm going to love my husband. I'm going to express how much I'm going to be very intentional about how I feel towards him. Every day, it is a choice. If you wake up today and you're like, I just feel so tired, I'm so bored, it ends up being, it just makes your day worse. Even when your husband is there, everything that he does ends up annoying you because it's a decision that you've made in the beginning. You win from your thoughts. You start winning from your thoughts. So whenever you get up in the morning, you pray for the day and say, Lord, I commit my day to you. And that's when you start winning. You continue your day thriving.
And your last words, Mr. Matsepe?
Yeah, I think my last words, and it's been something that's been very deep-rooted in my heart. We've seen the high divorce rates, especially amongst young people. And I just want to say that, and Jesus said it to the Pharisees as well when they were asking about divorce. And he said, when they questioned why Moses allowed husbands to divorce their wives. And when Jesus responded, he said it's because you had hardened your hearts. And I just want to say to a lot of, especially young people, do not harden your hearts, because if you look at the word divorce itself, it's the exact same meaning as within the Greek dictionary as letting go. So do not let go of what God has entrusted you with. You know,
Fun for
there's a specific reason, and you interviewed a very inspirational couple, Nikki and Tabs, and they're good friends of ours. And I think their story is really testament of fighting for what God has entrusted you with. So don't harden your hearts. No one is perfect, but I believe in the same way that God or Christ came to redeem us from our own transgressions, surely we can also do the same or extend the same grace for our partners. So that's really my parting thought.
Your parting thoughts are bringing more questions. But I think let's, because like when I'm listening to you, there's so many questions that are coming, but I think let's close it because we're not gonna finish. So I mentioned in the beginning that you guys have an amazing ministry, which is called Power Couples Movement, and I want you guys to just tell the viewers all about it and where they can actually get hold of you guys. I know you've got YouTube, you've got podcast, and also on Instagram as well. So just
Okay. So you can follow us on Instagram as Power Couple Movement, and as well as our YouTube channel, Power Couples Movement as well. We have a podcast, also Power Couple Movement. Yes.
Okay. So guys, be sure to follow them on their Instagram, their Facebook. Do you guys have Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're not really
Okay, just follow them on Instagram, all social media platforms. Just get hold of them. They have an amazing ministry that they are running, which is mainly focused on couples. So I've actually been a guest there. You know, you remember when you guys started? And my husband and I had just gotten married at the time. But anyway.
That was a blessing, honestly.
Yes. So do follow them, guys, and listen to their podcast. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I've listened to it. It's nice. It's short. It's sweet. So, All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this conversation has really helped you and it has really encouraged and ministered to your own marriage. So we are saying if we could make it, if they could make it, so can you. So rise up, women. Takuani, Pagama, Emela, Tlakuka, Sesi. Every pain has an expiry date, and remember, you are not alone.